Last year, I talked about the Bitfunx Memcard. I received it a couple of days ago, and the packaging is just packaging. There's a manual in different languages, an invitation to seek help if needed, and there's the memory card itself in a plastic insert. It's just a regular sized memory card, but as you can see it has an LCD screen on top, which will activate once you plug it into a PlayStation 1 or 2 console. There are two buttons on the bottom, in which you control the on-screen menu, and there's a USB-C insert to upgrade its firmware in the future. Next to the Gen 1 model, they kinda look similar. They both have an SD card and USB-C insert. And the Gen 2 model does do the same as the Gen 1 model, but with more handy features. It comes bundled with a generic nameless 8GB SD card. I always say to replace these things right away, as most of the time these are utter crap. But for the sake of this video, I'll use it this one time. You insert the memory card in the PS1, and you are greeted with this nice looking LCD screen. Just to have it out there, this memory card resembles a lot of the Memcard Pro from 8-bit mods. But is it any better? It switches automatically to a PS1 or PS2 memory card. There are cards and there are channels. Every card is a virtual memory card, as if you have a physical one on hand, and has 8 channels. These channels represent pages, as you know from using a regular memory card. How many cards can this thing hold? Well, this was extremely boring, but on an 8GB SD card I went up to 100+ cards. Then I got so bored of pushing the buttons that I just quit. Nobody needs 100 memory cards, but I guess this will be even higher in numbers than 100. Combine that with the 8 channels per card, you do the math, I don't want to. Long pressing the bottom buttons gets you to switch channels or cards. Pressing both buttons gets you the on-screen menu. You can boot to PS1 or PS2 mode, and change settings for each console. There's an option to use Game ID in combination with PSIO. Now from what I got, in order to use Game ID, you need to flash and solder a BIOS chip onto the PS1 motherboard. That's a bit too much info for this video. I reckon you watch Qtronics' videos on how to get a Game ID BIOS installed. And there's settings to adjust the display brightness, automatic display offsetting, and info on the firmware installed and such. When you go to the PlayStation Memorycard Bootup screen, you get this. At first I thought this was a bug or something. The screen goes from white to yellow, from left to right. Now what it does is that it starts up a program called Unirom Basic, which lets you use additional features. In my opinion, this is pretty cool, simply because the implemented features are far more user-friendly than the previous Gen 1 model. There are a few options here, in which you can boot a disc. You can install a cheat cartridge. I reckon this is something like an action replay. Install free PSX boot, which lets you boot up a burnt disk. There's other options like load via serial, and there's an option to backup cards and restore cards. The more important thing here is that you can access the memory cards through this alternate menu. I tend to think that this way of copying content from the Gen 1 card to the Gen 2 card is faster. It skips the tedious copy animation at least. I just want to copy the content from the Gen 1 memory card to the Gen 2 one, so I can show you how the card and pages work. I copied the content from this older memory card as well to the Gen 2 card, just to fill it up. As you can see now, the Gen 2 card is full, so I switch over to another virtual card on the Gen 2 card. I could actually just switch a channel as well. Now there's a blank card on the left, the Gen 2 card, as I copy over the content from the memory card on the right. There are also save files left that have been previously deleted. Inside this menu, you can also skip cards and channels with the controller. Sadly, it doesn't switch card or channels real time, which would be actually awesome. So you have to go out and into the Unirom menu to see the channel or card you reselected. The file browser option lets you browse a CD's content. Might be handy for some. I punched in this crappy Tony Hawk Pro Skater CDR, and it gave me this. Cool. There's a hex editor. Not going to mess with that. So how does it work with games? I booted up Broken Sword, for which I knew I had a save somewhere. Since it switched to card number 1, the save file cannot be found. I switched it to the second card, loaded up the memory card again, and there it was. Now how does it fare on a PlayStation 2 then? Well, it's practically the same. The card comes pre-installed with FMCB as an extra. I already have an FMCB card import too, so it displays nothing new for me. You can see here the free MacBoot files. Shown here is that card number 1 has no slots left, so it changes it on the fly to the second channel, and now it saves. And there comes the harder part. You still need to remember on which channel or card you save certain games. That shouldn't be a problem if you don't play dozens of games crisscross from one another, or if you have a Game ID BIOS chip installed. Lastly, there's still the option like the Gen 1 card, to pop out the SD card, to write or extract files from and to. In my Gen 1 review, I showed that you can download save files from the internet. And if you care to do so, do things like unlock all characters in certain games, or skip levels. It's up to you. But should you buy this Gen 2 card and skip the Gen 1 card altogether? I haven't even touched and worked with all the options in the menu. It's pretty packed, and personally, I won't be using all the options here. What it does do is make the Gen 1 card obsolete when it comes to user friendliness altogether. From its clear LCD screen to the memory card menu, in which you have everything there already in comparison to the Gen 1 card. So simply put, forget the Gen 1 card, go straight to the Gen 2 card. It's simple as that. And you don't have to worry about searching drawers for dozens of memory cards. Thanks for watching this video again. If you liked it, I would appreciate a thumbs up and a comment as well below. Don't forget to subscribe as it keeps you updated whenever I release a new video. And I'll see you on the next one.